We now return to Let's Play Shadows of New York. Bunny as a reporter. The note left at my old dead drop point reads, Bunny as a reporter. Shit, could it be Woods? Long time no see. What does one do when the ghost of Christmas past knocks on her door? Okay, sorry, I just decided to jump right into that one, because apparently the music at the very beginning there gets you copyright strikes, so that's fun. Honestly, sweeping through Evergreen Cemetery in search of Nigel Woods was the last thing I expected to be doing tonight. And yet here I am. The past refuses to let me out of its grip even for a few days. Hell, a black limo almost ran me over on my way here. Just can't get a break, can I? I wonder if it's what's-his-face. It takes me less than a minute to find Nigel. He's standing next to the gravestone of John Bunny, one of the most famous actors of the 1910s. Why there, exactly? Well, the man is paranoid, which is why we were forced to come up with such an unpredictable method of choosing rendezvous points. It had to be ambiguous enough to seem incidental to a casual onlooker, but reasonably uncomplicated so that this dumbass couldn't mess it up. So we decided on silent film actors. Whenever he wanted to meet, he left me a note with an obscure movie title. Then I only had to look up who starred in it and make my way to their final resting place. Yeah, maybe it feels somewhat goofy and unnecessary, but it's also fun, and ridiculing Woods for his paranoia would be a classic case of the pot calling the kettle black. There he is, idling away his time on his smartphone, rapidly swiping left with noticeably increasing frustration. Too many girls who actually know what they want from life in a row, Nigel? Don't worry, I'm definitely not that type. When he sees me, he reacts as if he's just seen a ghost, a regular comedian. The man halts a few feet away from me and crosses his arms, giving me a dirty look. Do we even... I don't know that we know this guy from anywhere previously. This part does feel a little out of place, but I decided to go with this storyline, just because the other one seemed like it was actually progressing the main story. And our first map decision, I seem to have been left out of one of the choices. I don't know if I'll only get a chance at 2 out of 3 in this game, but just in case, take a side quest here, and I'm just stalling because I need to think up a voice for Nigel here. We'll just go with whatever. What the hell are you up to these days, Sawinski? Too busy for your old pal? You never write, you never call. He puts on this completely unconvincing frown, but quickly loses it, bursting into sincere laughter. Shit, Jules, not gonna lie, it's good to see ya. Looking good, gal. You're still all doom and gloom, but even paler than usual. And even paler than usual, but I always had a soft spot for your bony ass. Come here, give your uncle a hug. Oh, do I want to do this? Give him the look, sure. I've worked with Nigel long enough for us to settle on some basic nonverbal signals for improved communication, by which I mean signaling him to get his shit together. I'm surprised to find that it's still an instinctual thing, what? As it my mortal body adapt, as if, probably, I think it's cut off here. As if my mortal body adapted to it so well in the past that it reacts the same way even now that it's dead. Alright, I get it. And I think we used it. Cut to the chase, Woods. This wasn't a social invitation. I have only so much patience for your innuendos. What do you want? Still quick to get to the point, huh? Very well. I've been trying to put together a piece of some particularly unseemly business in the deep web. One of my plugs pointed me in the direction of Double Spiral. Saying that... Double Spiral. Am I even surprised that name keeps coming up again and again? It still kind of haunts me. Of course I made sure it would. I still keep tabs on Montgomery from time to time, constantly reliving those 16 months I slaved away for nothing. It might have been just another part of Karen's hazing ritual, but I have a feeling that even if that wasn't the case, Brian would still be told to kill the story. Some dirt on this internet whiz goes by the name of Hope. She supposedly has had some close dealings with the Montgomery clan. Ever heard of her? Not an expert on the concept, can't say I'm familiar with the person in question either. I'm lying, of course, feigning apathy. The name strikes a chord, being one of the 4 jotted down in Callahan's list. Coincidence? Kadir insisted I shouldn't believe in these. As far as I can tell, she's mostly involved in some kinky porno stuff involving scopophilia, body maiming, lots of blood, shit's borderline occult. Okay, so was Hope the previous... She was the Malkavian from the previous game, right? And if that's the case, wasn't she only faking the online stuff? Anyway, shit's borderline occult. My cover's blown, though. I think someone's after me. Still, I got a few useful leads, which I'd happily exchange for some Benjamins before I go AWOL. Interested? Knowing him, those few leads are completely worthless, but with his luck, he really might have strayed into dangerous waters. What's useless to him might prove useful to me. If I play along, he won't even know I'm no longer in his line of work. Do you expect me to buy your intel sight unseen? No dice, Nigel. Break it down for me. I won't screw you over. You know me better than that. He sighs audibly, sizing me up and down. After a brief moment, he raises his voice again. All right. What do you want to know? Well, tell me everything, I guess. Whatever your porn-addicted ass considers to be of value. Nigel closes his eyes, pondering where to begin. Now, this might sound complicated, so I can send you some helpful YouTube videos later, but here we go. For the next few minutes, Nigel explains his findings while desperately trying, and mostly failing, to make them sound like something more than dumb urban legends. Among the many threads, he mentions blood trafficking, secret turf wars, a coven of Masonic lodge types, the biblical flood, and businessmen consorting with the devil in search of immortality. To common ears, all of this would probably sound like some Bozal conspiracy theory, but from what I can gather, he's flying dangerously close to the sun. At the moment, he doesn't know jack shit and has no proof of anything. Meaning, he doesn't pose any real danger to the Masquerade. But his conviction in following every possible lead was what made me work with him in the first place. God damn it, I'm not sure if I can just let him go. You know, Nigel, I actually watched our friend John Bunny here portray a reporter in one of his silent pictures. In the film, he disguised himself as a woman and infiltrated a secret suffrage meeting. Of course, he fucked it all up and got chased up a tree by an angry axe-wielding liberationist. This kind of journalism makes infinitely more sense than the bullshit you're spouting right now. Sorry. I know how it sounds, Jules, but I have this itch in the back of my head telling me there's more to it than it seems. You know my sixth sense, it hardly ever fails me. I think it's horseshit, and I'll leave it at that. So what about that Hope girl? Got something worth pursuing? Maybe. She's an enigma, a total fucking mystery. The only thing I'm certain of is that she exists and enjoys streaming for an exclusive audience. Mostly herself, if I recall. Supposedly she's into cryptocurrencies, you know, those Bitcoin things. I could never make any sense of it. It's a scramble, I know, but I promise you that somewhere within lies a juicy story for someone like you to pursue. Hell, I have a hunch that if we join forces, we might really hit it big this time. Thoughts? This poor idiot. This intel of his sounds like a cheap pulp novel. No one in their right mind is going to pay a dime for it. It'll ruin his credibility, if he still has any. If he persists in spreading this bullshit, it will probably completely neuter his ability to harm us eventually. But if the Ivory Tower gets wind of his activities, Kadir is going to get involved. He's going to ask questions. The answers will get both me and Nigel in trouble. You're awfully quiet, Jules. Speak up, you're creeping me out. Ooh, boy. Well, like, if he's really the investigative type, he's probably not going to, and especially if he's attached to a conspiracy theory, he's not going to. So could we do this? Sure, why not? I'm sorry, Nigel, just a bit... just a bit, but still. What? That's supposed to be... What? I'm not sure that even... That doesn't make sense. In dialogue. He freezes in place as I gaze into his eyes. There is no blood trafficking or secret turf wars going on in New York City. You have nothing on Double Spiral, and there is no hope. I made all of it up. The idea you have instead is a non-fiction book about toxic masculinity. You're going to do your research, and you're going to pitch the book to everyone as a real expert on the subject. He stands there completely perplexed, suppressing layers of rewritten memories. With his mouth wide open, stuck in a bizarre pose, he looks like a total goofball. I can't help but snort. John Bunny wouldn't compare, especially if our guy really follows his programming and a comedy of errors ensues. He's going to recover in a couple minutes, but I'm not sticking around. This trick has taken its toll on me. I can only keep my fingers crossed that it sticks. Best to bury the memory of this meeting along with the rest of my past. Alright, it's about time I head to see Kadir. Are you sure it's the middle of the night? It's almost probably time to go back to the Haven. Mighty kind of him to arrange a meeting in the place that's most convenient for me. The burger joint? To Angelo, Hope, Tamika, Agathon. I suppose that's better than nothing. But no evidence, really? Honestly, it felt as if someone had already cleaned up the most egregious stuff before I arrived. Sounds like the Anarchs. I'll definitely try and check that place again, but I feel I'd need some sort of expert to accompany me. An advanced investigator who would show me the ropes. Someone tall and handsome, maybe? Yeah, if you don't mind a diplomatic incident, I'll go with you. Any better ideas? Actually, this very note gave me one, but I will need to set it up first. I'll get back to you about that. You know these people? I've had passing contact with each of them, part and parcel of the job, you know. Suppose. Can you help me out with this? The way I'd tackle it would be look at one person on the list every night, ask around about them, and see what they know if you do manage to meet them. If I manage to meet them? They're not particularly easy to get a hold of. I mean, they have to show up on your map before you can go meet them. Always preferred to be a little off the grid, but nowadays they're all practically in hiding, if not MIA or dead. Probably makes sense, seeing as how I think most of them, well, I mean, at least the ones that were my friends and I didn't chase off immediately, they did sort of get all caught up in the whole Second Inquisition thing at the end of the last game. A funny coincidence? It is not my job to speculate. In other words, he knows something, but is not at liberty to say. Guess I'll find out anyway if I do meet them. And why one each night? Shouldn't I investigate every loose thread until we're satisfied? In the perfect world, you'd have all the time you needed. But this is not the perfect world. This is a world of darkness. They'll try to brute force a solution to the case as soon as possible. I suspect that 4 nights from now, once the celebrations of power are over, they'll ask for your findings and that will be all. It's fucked up. To be brutally honest, my focus wouldn't be on solving the murder. Instead, I'd focus on not embarrassing yourself. Fucked up. This is part of why I didn't want you to get involved. I couldn't possibly think Arturo had you involved out of the goodness of his heart. The entirety of your investigation is just for show. You were meant to be an unwitting actor. Maybe I really should just call Mia and be like, you know what, fuck these condescending ivory tower clowns, I want to work with you. But then again, if I was with the Anarchs, they'd probably delegate even shittier tasks to me. If, and that's a really big if, they didn't think I was some kind of inside agent in the first place. Better stick to Camarilla. But if they're hell-bent on stabbing me in the back at every opportunity, maybe it's time to think about how I can repay the favor. Play dirty, no matter what Kadir thinks of it. After all, from where I'm standing now, there is no other way but up. Penny for your thoughts. I take a drag from my cigarette. Thought schmatz. I'm angry. What do you expect? Something different from the norm, I suppose. My anger levels are above the norm, I suppose. It's a nasty situation, but not one without a possible good ending in sight, so I hope you can channel that anger into something productive. You can try. Or should I go first? You should go with me. As it happens, I'm only out here because I was ordered to drive Aisling to the art hole. Guess the name of her protege. Oh, so that's who Agathon is. Or was. Nobody knows. It's a complicated thing. You'll see. I'm on the clock, so let's get the move on. Lead the way, big bad wolf. Still not done with this bit? Not while it's still bothering you. I'm leaving you behind if you don't keep up. As I already told Kadir, and numerous times at that, I have no idea what happened with Agathon. The Broadway Chantry, part of the Chantry of the Five Boroughs, is Aisling's usual hangout place these past few nights. She's in a hurry and not willing to talk. Do you have any idea about his connection to kindred going by the names of Tamika, D'Angelo, and Hope? I don't. I made it a point to keep our relationship strictly professional and never meddled in his personal affairs, unless they influenced our work, that is. But it only happened one time. Ah, yes, the infamous Juno case. About that Juno, fine. Could the Juno case be the reason he's missing? I seriously doubt it for many reasons. I think the boy's lost his appetite for studying blood magic and set out to do a little soul-searching. I mean, almost dying probably had something to do with it. It's quite rude of him not to give me a proper warning before he departed. Still, this line of work is not particularly favored by folks with a perfect grasp of savoir-vivre. Vivre, suivra. I do hope his search will bring him back right where he started, begging me to take him back in. The boy is talented, and I did put a lot of time into mentoring him. If he doesn't, well, que sera, sera. No skin off my back. So you won't even entertain a possibility he found himself in harm's way? I know an answer to that one. A researcher's mindset. She doesn't think it's worth fuck me. She doesn't think it's worth considering the worst-case scenario seriously and just takes things as they come. Precisely, if, for example, climate change scientists didn't operate this way, most would have put a bullet in their heads a long time ago. Okay, yay. Fuck. I'd like to search the chantry for Agathon's whereabouts. Our good sheriff already did that long ago. You'd just be wasting your time. And ours, for that matter. Did you say Helena was waiting for us, Kadir? Give the girl 15 minutes, Aisling. A minimal support for an ongoing investigation. And besides, she has a proclivity for finding things everyone else has overlooked. All right, 10 minutes. And if you attempt to pass this door or that one up there, I can't guarantee you'll walk out of here alive. Thank you very much, High Regent. Just get on with it. This channel 56 or whatever that YouTube channel is. My time here is practically up, and I've found nothing of use. It seems Agathon was completely dedicated to his work. Even his personal quarters are as barren as it gets. No personal touch whatsoever. Nothing I could go by. It's all research, research, research. He seems like such a bore. Focus, Julia. What would you do if you were a warlock workaholic? A workalock. Where would you leave your clues to your whereabouts? What would you do if you found yourself in mortal danger and wanted Dakota to know? Why would Dakota know? It's loose. It's loose. Was that? Yeah. It was facing this way, huh? I approached the place where I saw the shadowy silhouette appear. It's a brick wall, and one of the bricks is loose. Kadir and Aisling are in another room right now, still discussing the party. It's not that bad. You ought to learn how to find humor in the little things. It's demeaning, Sheriff. That's all there is to it. It's time. I work the brick loose until I can grip it, then I tug it as silently as possible, revealing a hole in the wall. Inside there's a book. I browsed through it quickly. Agathon's diary. That's a bingo. Your 10 minutes are up, so are your 15 minutes, in fact. Are you done here? If I could just get 5 more minutes, I still feel like I could stumble upon something here if I just took a little more, look a little more, look a little more. No way, Julia. Time to go. Fine. I put the brick back and take the diary with me. It did look like Agathon left it so that someone in the chantry could find it, presumably the High Regent. But my investigation takes priority for now. I bid Kadir and Aisling adieu and start looking for a secluded place to read the diary. This place right here should be secluded enough for me to browse through the diary in peace. I start quickly skimming the book, singling out sentences and paragraphs that look interesting, trying to get a general idea of what kind of person Agathon was. Or is, I hope. The more I read, the clearer the image of the person becomes. He's been working under the High Regent for 15 years. There's an underlying shame in the way he talks about Tremere magic. He always describes himself as too slow on the uptake, too late to learn something, too much of an amateur. He was really into tying his self-worth to his wisdom. The entries, beginning in 2012, are terrifyingly regular. The handwriting is extraordinarily neat. The author's absolute dedication to his studies is palpable. If there's anything to his unlife besides work, it's his relationships with the 3 important women he holds dear. The first is his master, Aisling Sturbridge, whom he reveres for her knowledge, stoicism, and willingness to experiment. I was hoping to find some details about her secretive work here, but no dice. Looks like he was willing to risk someone finding all about his inner life, but not anything that could harm her studies. A good pupil, serving a good mentor. I'm jealous. The second is another warlock, his ex-lover, Juno, whom he feels guilty about. They had a conflict in which Aisling was involved. Having to choose between the two, he chose Aisling. According to Agathon, there was never real love between him and Juno. First, it was just shared interest, then a growing disconnect, and ultimately guilt which made him feel responsible for her. But maybe it's just excuses. He strikes me as the kind of person who spends most of his time inside his head. Doesn't sound like someone who could have had a fulfilling romance with. You could have a roof, whatever. Yeah, what? We don't do okay. I know what you're doing, Julia, but this is not a rabbit hole you want to be stuck in right now. Keep reading. Anyway, last but not least, Agathon's mortal grandmother, Sylvia. She's the light of his life and person who took care of him after his parents died in a ritual murder. Not quite what I expected. Her family used to serve a cruel vampire in Mexico City, and it was retribution for their escape. She was the lead Tremere used to track him down, actually. What? What? She was the lead Tremere used to track him down, actually? Huh? As weird pacing. He was keeping her alive for a long time, but a few months ago her heart gave up. Agathon blamed his insufficient skills. The kind of man who carries the entire world on his shoulders. Left alone with Aisling, he drowned himself in work and eventually burned out. But it doesn't sound like Sylvia's death was the only event that triggered his depression spiral. Why are there question marks at the end of statements? There was some kind of incident back in 2019. He doesn't cite specifics. Another thing he was worried about writing down? It's all vague mentions of a person who made him fly too close to the sun. Whatever happened had the same effect as his grandma's death. New York stopped feeling like a home to him. It became alien, empty, grotesque. His words. I checked the first page. There's a recent photograph of him glued to the inner side of the cover. He's facing away from the camera, only showing his profile and striking a rather dramatic pose. At first it looks kind of poserish to me. However, upon closer inspection, it seems a little like a goodbye photo. The final melancholic glance he throws in your direction before disappearing for good. There's also a single black feather. No idea what it means. Something's written next to the photograph with a lot of flourish. It looks like a poem? More than annoyed. Sad. More than sad, unhappy. More than unhappy, suffering. More than suffering, abandoned. More than abandoned, alone in the world. More than alone, exiled. More than exiled, dead. More than dead, forgotten. Sedative, 1917, by Marie Laurentien. Looks like he wrote it down recently. It might have resonated with his emotional state over the past few months. Most importantly, it seems to confirm his intent with this diary to me. The general idea seems to be his research will outlive him, so he doesn't even detail it. Still, he wanted some kind of tangible memory of who he was left for posterity. But that's not all. There's still a mystery to be solved. Quite a few of the pages toward the end are missing, but it doesn't look like they were necessarily removed to redact information. They were torn off in a way that makes it clear the paper wasn't ever used. What's more, the preceding pages are empty as well. Could it be that that's when it happens again? I notice a bizarre shape in my peripheral vision. Well, there's one kind of on the carpet, and there's that guy who keeps walking, and there it is. Bleed. I turn to catch a glimpse as fast as possible, but it's already gone. If my heart could beat faster right now, it wouldn't be jumping out of my chest. Or it would be jumping out of my chest. Either were. It's discomforting. I've been seeing these apparitions ever since I turned into this. The worst part is I feel they are always there. Even as a mortal, they were there sometimes in the corner of my eyes, disappearing when I tried to look directly at them, making me think it was just my mind playing tricks on me. But when you're part of the Night Clan, there are times they don't disappear. There are times they talk. There are times they try to force you to do their bidding, and worst of all... No, I don't want to think about it right now. Still, in my experience, they aren't exactly, I don't know, consciously malevolent. This one in particular was trying to help? I open the book on the first empty page and look around to make sure nobody is staring. Then I cut myself using a razor I keep in my pocket, just in case. It's not a deep slice, I just want to let a droplet of vitae fall onto the page. That's when the letters appear. Look at me, a tragic clown, no longer confident that any of my people can be trusted. I turn to a fucking spick, a Camarilla spick at that. Reserved contempt. What are you waiting for, boy? Laugh at me. Ridicule is all I deserve. Come on, don't just stand there like an idiot. Want to say something, say it. The hell? This is the last thing I expected to happen. This diary is haunted. A series of quickly changing sentences and images composed of shadows and blood give me a window into another reality. It's not an objective view, it's like scattered remnants of emotions, similar to a half-remembered dream, full of holes, but an honest expression of one's mind. Might it be interacting with me? It's just a hypothesis, but I don't know why else it would show me Callahan. Was that Ellis Island? Right. This time I don't even look in its direction. The voice makes me feel oddly confident about what I need to do. I pick up the feather that was in the diary and dip it in my vitae. Then I write down... visible contempt? I mean, it kind of was. Let's try contempt. You sold out your ideals long ago, old man. You're a shithead, a coward, a bigot, a failed leader hated by everyone serving you. Of course I have nothing but contempt for you. Why is he dressed like that? If this took place shortly after the events at the end of the last one, we wouldn't be working for him, but maybe this takes place way afterward. Good. Finally some honesty. Now we can talk to each other like equals. It doesn't feel like this is the way these events took place. It's more like a way to explore Agathon's emotional truth about the way it all unfolded. In any case, the diary is reacting to me, and some shade of the truth is better than nothing. It's a handy tool, and if I use it right, I might find some clues that could aid me in my investigation. There are a few thoughts floating around in my head, like alien entities trying to make their way out. Is that also an effect of the diary's power? Let's try. And now I feel like I should have been paying attention at some point. He did talk about dead, dying, death, whatever the poem, right? Is it fear of death that drove you to contact me? Don't be ridiculous. I've been ready to die since before you even came out of your mama's womb, boy. No, I fear something worse. So when you heard about their plot, yes, I wasn't afraid it would fail and leave me for final death. I was afraid it would succeed. God damn it, what are the two of you talking about? Why did you meet? I mean, we could ask for that. Let's talk about Ellis Island, though. Anything that we have clues to, I feel like we should utilize. Why did you pick this place to meet, anyway? It's secluded, and something... Oh, there's something in the air here that makes all the blood magic go haywire, which is especially important. Because of me? Still afraid I might be part of the experiment? No, because of that devil woman. Blood running cold. All the scribblings disappear and another set starts taking their place. The diary conjures an image of a completely different place. I instantly get a feeling of déjà vu. I process the space differently. The atmosphere is different, more familiar, homely, but this is unmistakably the Tremere Chantry I visited earlier tonight. And standing there is just the person I'd expect. Looks like that's it for my meeting with Callahan. God damn it. What if the person he was talking about, and eliciting a strong emotional reaction from, was Aisling? The diary awaits my next command. I guess when? When did this take place? High Regent? When? Yeah, it shouldn't surprise you that these arrangements were already in place back when you started working for me. The proof was around you all the time. You were just choosing not to look at it. Don't act like you aren't complicit, Agathon. I don't feel comfortable being a part of this at all. I always thought we were busy with science, not politics. These are the words of a child, Agathon. Science has always relied on politics, and politics on science. Not like this, High Regent. Don't embarrass me, Agathon. Not like this. The moving scribblings disappear again. I hastily let another drop of blood fall on the page. What appears this time is yet another familiar face. Ah yes, Agathon. What is it you wanted to tell me? Fuck you. Go to hell, you goddamn rat. Well, so if he's talking about politics, he's probably referring to the whole thing at the end of the last one, which in that case... Goddamn rat. I beg your pardon? The harpy vanishes. Yeah, right. As if I could ever gather enough courage to say this to your face. But the least I can do is try and stab you in the back. The diary ends here. I spill a little more vitae on the page, but it no longer works. I suppose that's it. Still no idea what happened to Agathon. Is he alive, or is he dead? We're gonna go with alive, because, I mean... I have a feeling that we're going to end up meeting these four people. I say that because they went to the trouble of drawing art for them. Maybe Dakota's right. I've been a glass half empty buzzkill too often. We'll brace for the worst, but hope for the best. The way he left his diary for someone to carry on his work, the hints he strategically left inside it, he's got this all planned out, no doubt about it. I choose to believe I will see him again one night. Maybe I'll even compliment that jacket he has. In any case, I think it's time to pay a visit to the art hole. Is it? Or is it time to go to sleep? Glass half full kind of person, huh? So she's in it for herself, but she's an optimist about it. Maybe not. Maybe not so much. She's been kind of a downer the whole time. I don't think that's a correct approach that I just took there. Anyway, I'm going to end this one here, because I have no idea how much longer this night goes on. And I will see you next time.